Hello and welcome. My name is Danielle. I'll be your host today as we dive into energy healing and soul medicine, a collaborative healer's directory by Rada Publishing House. Today we have a very special guest with us, Amanda Waterman, and she's a contributing writer in the upcoming book, Energy Healing and Soul Medicine. Welcome, Amanda. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Danielle, for having me. It's so exciting.
Yeah, I know we had a chance to talk before we got started, and I just want to thank you for your time today. And could you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and where it is you are located?
Yeah, so I am just north of Seattle, Washington, have lived here most of my life. I have lived in California for a couple times and been all over the place, but this is home for me. And I have 5 children and 2 bonus children, so 7. And I have 4 grandsons that keep me pretty busy all the time. I'm very involved with their lives. And I just this whole, like, I want to say for the last few months have been just deep diving into energy healing for myself. I've been healing so many other people, but I feel like the creator has really taken me away and just said, you have to really focus on you right now, because what they always say, like, you have to have your own oxygen mask on first before you're helping others. And I feel like with the ascension that's going on right now, it was just so vital and important for me to take time out for myself and to put on that oxygen mask for myself, because I feel like a lot of things are going to be happening pretty shortly, and we just really need to be focused on what we're here to do. So
Right. Yeah. Well, with that being said, I'm glad you have your oxygen mask on. Did you, when you found out about energy healing and soul medicine, did you feel, why do you feel it's so important now more than ever to, get a book like this out into the public because of, like you said, what's to come?
Yeah, well, I feel it's so important because I feel like there's so many healers out there that they don't really know that they're healers, right? They're like, oh, energy, they can feel the energy. They don't really know what that is. They can, they're very empathic. So they just kind of absorb other people's energies and then they take it on. And so I work with people to help them like not do that and to figure out who they are as a soul and why they came here. And to kind of teach them about the 5D experience and what the difference is between being in that 3D experience and where we're going and where we're heading to that 5D experience. But so many people are caught up in that fear-based experience and reality that they need that healing, that they need that healing from healing their ancestral lines, healing their family, healing just past lives. So much. So I mean, we could talk hours and hours and hours about about all of that, but it's so important right now more than anything for people to get this book in their hands, just so I think even if it's not my story or someone else's story, they can relate to them and think, oh my gosh,
Right.
maybe something that we say in the chapter will trigger a memory, and it can just start them on their healing journey.
That's beautiful. I couldn't agree more with you. So being that you are in the healing industry, could you share with us what type of healing modality that you write about in your chapter, and how long have you been doing that for?
Yeah, so I got into energy healing about a little more than 4 years ago, maybe coming on to 5 years now. And I just started practicing on myself. It came to me with a friend, and she was just doing, my friend was like, you need to just have a session. I'm like, okay. And we were all a part of a company, like a multi-level marketing company. And I wanted to really have abundance in my life. And I was like, well, what's blocking this? What's blocking this from happening? And so when I had my session with her, she just said, what do you want to focus on? I said, I know I came into this with abundance in my mind. I go, but really, honestly, I just want to do whatever the top priority is, because just because I think something's a top priority doesn't mean that my soul on a soul level thinks that's the top priority. So just whatever pops up and whatever needs to be healed. And the things that came out were amazing. And I was just fascinated by everything. And so that was the emotion code by Dr. Bradley Nelson. And I just started watching all his YouTube videos. I taught myself how to muscle test. I started muscle testing everything. I started asking my body questions like, do you want to eat this? Do you want to drink that? What do you want to do? All that kind of stuff. I taught all my children how to muscle test. And it literally from that point on, any conversation that I had with a friend, emotion code teaches you about trapped emotions in the body and how it can create pain and, all this stuff. And so every phone conversation I had, it was like, wait, let me see if you have a trapped emotion. And so, I'd get out my trapped emotion chart and I would be muscle testing. And it was every conversation was like that. And I felt like, gosh, like people are going to stop calling me because all I want to do is see if they have a trapped emotion and release it from them. But it literally started like that.
Wow.
And it just became into what I do now. So I do the emotion code. I'm a practitioner. I'm a access bars practitioner and facilitator. I'm an angel activator. I want to say intuitive. You always kind of figure out like what kind of, the labels that people have and like, is that what I am? Because a lot of times you don't really know where you fit in. I just feel like I get really strong divine downloads and I just follow that. So in a session, people could say, well, I want to have a energy healing with you. Okay. They would come to me, but I will use every tool in my toolbox. And of course, any divine downloads that I get from Creator, I use those as well, and from guides or whatever. So every session is very, very unique to the person.
That's awesome. And you know what? You're actually setting a really good example for people to allow themselves to trust themselves. And, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, the sessions itself, can you maybe share with our viewers maybe what it's like having a session with you? And I'm sure if you want to give an example, you can.
Yeah. So usually we can always have sessions in person, but what makes it so beautiful in this technology world that I usually do a lot of my sessions on Zoom, so that the people don't have to leave their homes. They don't have to it's a lot. And when people are going through things, it's almost like there could be a lot of anxiety and fear of what may happen. So I always find if you can just stay in your own home, in the comfort of your own home, and you're feeling loved and supported, then just stay there and we'll do it online like this, So when they come in with a session, I have what I call my heart wall protocol. And you can have multiple heart walls. And so Dr. Bradley Nelson teaches that you can have a heart wall and then a hidden heart wall. Well, as I was doing this, I came across somebody in a session and I asked if I could release a heart wall. And I was like, no. And I'm like, what do you mean I can't release a heart wall? Like I had never came across that before. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And we kept getting, the internet connection was so bad. It kept dropping. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was so frustrating. So I reached out to my friend and I said, hey, can you just help me real quick? She's a theta healer. And I said, I don't understand what's going on. There's like a block. It won't let me release her heart wall. And she goes, well, see if there's a shadow heart wall. And I'm like, a shadow heart wall? I'm like, okay. So I muscle tested and there was a shadow heart wall. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So anyways, then we discovered together that there most of the time is a shadow heart wall. So I had to add that in, like shadow heart wall, hidden heart wall. And sometimes there's even like more. I think in one session, I found one person had like 6 or 7 heart walls. Wow. And heart walls can block you in so many different ways. So it can stop you from attracting the right partner, right? So you may attract a partner who maybe isn't good for you, right? And you may think like, oh, my dad tells me I have a wrong picker, or I'm always choosing the wrong guys, or I like the bad boys, or, whatever, right? The other thing it can stop you, like if you are in a relationship and you are thinking you're coming from a place of love and you want to talk to your partner, and by the time your message gets through your heart wall to their heart wall, it's already distorted, and they come off very defensive. Like, oh, I can't believe you just said that to me. And you're like, oh gosh, no, that's not how I meant it. Like, this is how I meant it. No, but that's how you said it. So then you're in an argument, right? And you're like, gosh, like, why did I even say anything? I should have just kept my mouth shut. So it's that too, that love language gets distorted. And the other thing, it can stop you from your giving and your receiving. So we're so much of givers all the time. We give of our time, our energy, our resources, our love. You know, how many times have we given out love that we feel like we don't get back, right? And it can stop us from that. So like I always give people, my clients the example, like if you're short on money one month, you know, you're so good about, oh, I'll just give you money, don't worry about it, and you don't have to pay me back. And you know, but if you're struggling and someone's like, oh, I'll just give that, and you're like, oh, no, it's okay, it's fine, no, please, no, I can't take it. It's that block you're not able to receive. So many people want abundance in their life, but if you have a heart wall, how can it ever get through you? So it's really cool because during these sessions, I will see what your heart wall is made out of. And a lot of times it's a building material, but there's been other stuff. There's been one person has had their heart wall made of water. It's like, okay, right? So they're just kind of like floating, right? That's their safety. Like there's water around them. Nothing's going to get to them. I had one person, they had blankets. And I'm like, well, what's the significance for you for these blankets? And they're like, well, because I love blankets. Like I have blankets all over my house. And I don't ask questions before I do a session because I feel like I don't want people to think, well, you already knew that, right? And I never want to like, I just like, let's just get into it. Whatever's downloaded is going to be shared to you. She's like, oh, I love blankets. I go, so you feel safe in those blankets? And she goes, yes. And I go, well, that's why your subconscious chose to have your heart wall made out of blankets. So every session's different. And I'm really extremely open to everything. And that's where I also got into downloading messages from ancestors, because I'm so open and they know that they can come and share a message, and even entities too. I release entities, demons, and disembodied spirits, and oh my gosh, reptilians, and just so much stuff. And sometimes people can be a little fearful, but I make it super easy, and I just make it like, who cares? Let's get rid of them, you know, and I do quickly. And then also, I will also do, I'll see if they're angels. I'm an angel activator. That's what I came here on earth to do. I'm actually, I'm one of the highest angels here. So I have a twin flame. My twin flame is Archangel Michael, and I'm his divine counterpart, Lady Faith. And so that's who we are. We've had many, many lives together, and very powerful, prominent people. And so channeling those energies into this life can be a little challenging because you forget. It's like, don't forget who you came, you know, who you are and what you came to do. And so I try to do that with my clients in this session as well, is I will go over their core negative beliefs. And these are core negative beliefs that go against your divine purpose. And this is what you had to learn in order to get to your divine purpose. So it's actually the opposite, but you had to learn that in order to get into your divine purpose. So once we release those, then we take those core negative beliefs and we will make them into core positive beliefs. We'll just kind of switch them and make them have really, really powerful, unique, positive core beliefs and positive affirmations that they feel really good about. And it's almost like at their core essence. So I kind of leave them with that. And it's amazing. And most people, they just feel really transformed. And I never know what's going to come from a session. I don't have expectations. And I tell people, don't come in with expectations, because some people like, maybe they're, you know, maybe they're, they feel like they're overweight and they're like, oh, I want to release this weight. It's like, okay, but maybe that's not the top priority. Maybe there's some things that we need to dig into before. So some people have really high expectations. It's like, well, hold on a second. You know, you've had 50 years to get to where you are. And, you know, we may need more than just one session to, you know, to release what caused this in the first place. And it may not even be from this life, it could be from a past life.
Right, exactly. And they may not be ready for it at that time. So it's like different levels too. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward for everybody to read your chapter. Why do you feel at this point in time, you know, a healer's directory like this is so important?
Well, like I said before, I just think it's so important, like how we're moving forward, and with everything happening right now, we need to feel connection. And right now, we've been so divided by everything that's happening right now. And people are feeling alone and isolated, and
Mhm.
they're getting triggered, and these triggers are coming up to be healed. And I am such, people are like, I'm like, no, it's we. There's no I in team. Like, we're a team, we're all connected energetically together. Like, we all are going through this together. Like, we're all on our own separate journey, but I don't feel like anyone's going to be left behind. And we definitely don't want anyone left behind. And we want to make this transition from this 3D to 5D as easy as possible. And so that's what drives me. And one of the things I got into energy healing was because of addiction. And I write this in my chapter because my older kids are in addiction, and there's a lot of addiction surrounding me. And when I first got into energy healing, I was getting pretty frustrated, and my son had called me and was begging for money, and he was getting mad at me, and I'm like, no, I'm not giving you money. And he was really upset, and I ended up just hanging up. And I went and laid on my bed, and I just said, why am I so surrounded by all this addiction? I don't have addiction issues. Like, I don't understand, like, why is this happening? So I went laid on my bed, and I literally heard a voice say, because you're going to heal them. And I go, oh, and this is exactly what I said. Well, duh. I just kind of rolled my eyes like, well, duh, that makes sense. And I said, well, how am I going to do this? And of course I heard nothing. So the one gal, that my friend who did the session with me with Emotion Code, she was going into getting her body code practitioner's license. And she asked if she could do 4 sessions with me for free. And I was like, oh, yes, 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 yes. And so I committed to that. And it was within that week, after hearing that voice, I was in a Zoom like this with her, and she was showing me the body code. And I just got this divine download, was like, this is how you're going to heal them. And I'm like,
That's
oh my
awesome.
gosh. So yeah.
It's very effective, the body code. Yeah, once you get it down, it's pretty phenomenal.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How did you feel during the process of writing your, contributing chapter with Rada Publishing House? Did you feel supported?
Yeah, actually, I had a great conversation with Rada. She and I just hit it off so well. I know we've had past lives together. Like, we talked forever. A lot of people are on a twin flame journey. Every person I come across, and they're coming to me, and people are like being guided to me, like, like, you need to tell her your story, and I listen, and I'm just like, oh, it's so wonderful. So a lot of people are on this twin flame journey they're all coming together. So I know Rada and I talked about creating a book for twin flames in the future, and I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have to be a part of that. So we're talking about future stuff and everything, and it was very great. And when I wrote my chapter, what I did was, I was going to be leaving to go to Costa Rica for a 5-day retreat to do ayahuasca. And I wanted to have like the spiritual awakening, but I wanted to get my chapter done prior to that spiritual awakening, because I didn't want all the other stuff to be replaced by my experience. So I literally sat down, and I gave myself 4 hours to write my chapter. And I just sat down, I set the intention, and I just said, I need all of this to divinely come through me. Whatever's meant to be in this chapter needs to come out right now. And I literally sat down, and I just typed. I typed away. And then at the very end, I was like, is it? And I muscle tested. Is there anything else I needed to, add to my story? And I got a yes. And I was like, well, what else? And I looked around, and I had this beautiful crystal that I had just bought from a street fair, and it wanted to be in the story. So I'm like, okay, I'll put you in the story. So like, that's a little bit of my last paragraph, was about that crystal and what it means. And it actually is the blue flame.
Okay.
Which is, and it harnesses Archangel Michael's energy. And I'm like, well, of course you want to come home with me, because you want to be with me. And it's shaped like a hand. So I can actually put my hand and hold it, and it's like we're holding hands. It's
That's
really
beautiful.
crazy. Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Amanda. It's been a pleasure hearing about your chapter and just your overall journey. And you're just such a bright light in this world. And I want to thank you for everything, your time.
Yeah.
And we'll be sure to link all your information down below. And then, of course, how you can reach Rada Publishing House and when the book gets released. But thank you again so much for your time, and
You.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Danielle.